public since the temporary suspension of the operations last month. I assure you that I am on top of this situation, and I have launched a full investigation into this matter. On August 19, the Deputy County Attorney, Public Safety Director, Assistant Public Safety Director, Assistant County Manager, and I met, and they informed me of the details and the actions they were recommending. Based on that information that I received and the apparent inability, for whatever reason at that point in time, to get the pilots certified, I agreed that for the health, safety, and welfare of our residents, that the MedStar operation would be temporarily suspended. First and foremost, it is important to affirm that Lee County has not been without emergency medical flight services. This is due to our pre-established automatic mutual aid agreements with other emergency medical service helicopter services. Additionally, one of our mutual aid partners has relocated its helicopter to our MedStar hangar at Pagefield. Second, the Clerk of Courts, and as you just discussed, and I will modify to your direction, the Clerk of Courts has been asked to perform a forensic audit, which I would like a forensic audit done, of the billing issues, and my office will be reviewing the MedStar operations, recent events, and records of those involved so that the facts can be verified and reported in a transparent fashion. I've directed staff to fully cooperate with the audit and the investigation. Additionally, there has been much reporting regarding the billing errors that have occurred during the period of February 9, 2012 until May 12, 2012. As far as I know, it was not intentional. It was a mistake. But the investigation will determine this. As best as I can tell at this point in time, there was approximately $323,751.61 that was collected either from private insurance, Medicare, or Medicaid. As part of my investigation, staff and I will be meeting with the FAA on a continuing basis to discuss our options and requirements for moving forward. I will continue to provide you with regular updates as information becomes available, as well as a full report upon completion of my investigation and multiple options for moving forward, including but not limited to privatization for this board to consider for reestablishment of the EMS helicopter program. I will be the direct and media contact for any future inquiries and will respond to media as quickly as possible. If I am not available, Holly Schwartz, the Assistant County Manager, will also be available for media contact. I'll answer any other questions that you may have. I'm sorry, my voice is going in and out.
I've got a couple, Mr. Chairman.
I've got a couple as well. Go ahead.
August 19th, the staff brought their recommendation to you about shutting it down.
Right.
Are you telling us that that would have been the first
No, sir.
knowledge that you had of difficulties within the department? Because I'm told that one of the pilots was put on administrative leave several months earlier.
Yes, sir.
And then the supervisor was terminated sometime earlier.
No, sir, that is not the first time that I heard. Staff was keeping me informed and up to date. That was the time that we made our determination that that's when we were going to suspend the operations.
Let me repeat it. I need for you and the whole staff to bear in mind that my major concern here was the apparent abruptness of the shutdown and the inability of senior management to deal with this as it seemed to grow. And it was allowed to fester and deteriorate to the point where staff's only solution was to shut down the entire program. What I'm unable to understand is why there were not interim steps that could have been taken before this cataclysmic slamming of the door on a 34-year-old program. That doesn't strike me as good management, that the only solution was a total shutdown.
And I will,
I know that's kind of a broad
management
question, but
Okay.
that troubles me.
there were issues that became escalated to a point, and I have to be very careful. There are personnel issues that are involved and I will defer to council as to how far I can go in this, but there were personnel issues that became escalated to a point where I felt, and on staff's advice and in looking at this, that yes, it was a health and safety issue, that we temporarily suspended our services and we had our mutual aid, relied on our mutual aid. And at no time did this county go without flight services.
Ms. Hawes, you and I had a brief conversation about this whole issue a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago, I'm not exactly sure, but I had informed you at that time that I had had a call from one of the pilots, former chief pilot, and that I had listened to him 5 or 10 minutes, but I didn't want to get involved, and I tried to avoid being involved on personnel issues because he had been terminated, and your suggestion to me, if I spoke to him again, was to inform him that he had, what is the process, that
Was union.
Yes.
At that point in time.
no, what's the process?
Grievance.
Grievance
But
process available to
I'm
him.
correct. And I misspoke. He was under the union.
Well, that's what I wanted clarification on that, because
Correct.
I had subsequently talked with him ever so briefly one more time, and as I suggested the grievance procedure, he says, well, because of the way my position, he is now told, was eliminated, so since my position was eliminated, it's the same as me being fired, I don't work there anymore, but since the position was eliminated, I'm not allowed a grievance process. Maybe that's a question to Mr. Hunt. If your position's eliminated, can you not treat it as though you were terminated without good cause?
First of all, Commissioners, those positions are under a union bargaining agreement, and on elimination, the union gets to impact bargain. So there is
The
a
union
process.
does what, I'm sorry?
Impact bargain. There is a process.
For the union. Now,
Yes.
what if he's not a member of the union?
That position is a member of the union. Regardless of whether or not he is a member of the union, his position is a member of the union.
Okay, so you're telling me that everything that should be available to him or any other normal employee is available to him to question why the position was eliminated and him with it?
Through the union process.
Describe that process to me. Who does the review?
Here's the thing, Commissioner. The position, and I think you're talking about a pilot position. The
Yes.
position is a position in the bargaining unit of the union. Okay?
It's not a-
If there are any issues, the union process takes hold. Okay? We can't talk to the employee just because he wants to talk to us. We have to go through the union process, regardless of whether or not he
I'm
is
just
a
asking
union
for what that
member.
process is.
The union gets to impact bargain over this.
And what is that process? What
The
does that mean?
union
I don't speak
contacts
that
us.
tongue.
the union contacts us and says, we want to impact bargain, we schedule the impact bargaining date.
And then you or staff or both sit in a room
With the union.
with the union people
Yes.
and talk about, and what are the possible outcomes of
It
such?
depends on what they ask for.
I'm not trying to be difficult here.
No, I know you're not, but it depends on what they ask
I'm
for.
not angry at you. If I've got some anger and disappointment, it's frankly at the senior staff here and how this took months to come to surface with differing explanations as to how we got here and different people saying different things. I'm looking for some consistent answers and some kind of reasonable explanation as to why a 34-year-old program came to an abrupt crash, excuse the expression. I'll try to ease up, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Thank you. Karen, I have the same concerns that Commissioner Mann has, because what I feel like is that your senior management dealt with this issue over periods of months, and not one elected official was informed or given a red flag. And that's what the chairman's job is. I mean, that's why we pick a chairman every year, so that when something of this magnitude is occurring, where I recognize it may be challenging to get to 5 of us, as soon as the first issue raised, I mean, that's where an elected official needs to be notified, and then through his office or her office gives you some direction from our perspective what's happening, because at the end of all of this, the buck stops with us. It's right here at this dais. And so I guess, Mr. Chairman, did you know from the beginning through this whole process what was happening, or did you find out when we found out? I don't know what that means. Yes, you found out when we found out?
Correct.
Okay. That concerns me, board members, greatly, because this isn't the only issue we're dealing with right now. And I am fearful that the chair's office is to work directly with the county manager, directly with the county attorney on things that are brewing, so that there's an elected official dialogue occurring and a trigger when the rest of us need to be informed. Because otherwise, all you're doing is come to these meetings and running them every day or every week, and that's not the role of the chair. And this has got me so concerned on so many multiple levels right now that I feel like when I got presented with Kim and John and Karen and the county attorney came into my office and said, we're letting you know that next week we're going to stop the service. And again, their explanation at the time, at that point, what are you supposed to say? No? No, you're not stopping the service. Well, there is no other option available for us. We're being told what your decision is, and you want us to adopt that decision, but we are not part of that decision. And that, to me, is not my role as an elected official. That is not my role or my responsibility to not only these people sitting here, but the 622,000 residents that live here. I am not supposed to be told what my decision is going to be. And you've given me no options to maneuver or understand what's going on. If we want to talk to ex-employees, if we don't have lawsuits, that's our role. It's not a violation of charter. If there's union issues, and what happens is we get that briefing, then there's another briefing that comes that's, oh my goodness, there's more. And then there's another briefing that comes, oh my goodness, there's even more. So for as much as I can move, I can keep track of the moving pieces, I can't keep track of this one. Because I really don't know. And Commissioner Mann, I'm kind of smiling in sarcasm at you, because I know sometimes you have a harder time, and I get frustrated with sometimes your inability to kind of keep up sometimes, and you ask all these questions, I'm like, why don't you just know? But honestly, I'm right with you. I can't, as much as I've looked into this, I'm right with you. I don't understand how we got here and how we make a decision in such a short period of time to shut down a service. Now, I had folks from the Bridgeless Islands come in and meet with John and Kim and Karen, because obviously they can't keep up with what's being put in the paper. And what's being put in the paper, quite honestly, is sad to me. It's so inaccurate, and there is some accuracy, but there's a lot of inaccuracies as well. And I don't like to, the what ifs, you know, all of the what ifs. You know, our goal is to communicate to this community what's going on, regardless of what the media writes. And quite honestly, I'm appreciative of the time that they spend here and their efforts and what their role is in this community, but we have a role.